Hi all and welcome back to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're new, I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness and sharing my life story with autism and mental health, along with taking you all on a journey with other things along the way, with tips and advice, fun and games, and a bit more of the out of the ordinary. Hopefully, if you're into any of these kind of videos that I do, smash the like, or feel free to subscribe on the bottom right hand corner on the screen and turn on the notification bell. As you know, basically because I'm all about creating an awareness and understanding between us depending on the topics at hand of the mental health versus autistic life videos, as well as many other general life videos that I might bring out in the future. So this is going to be the quick last part, hopefully, about the leaky gut syndrome series, or shall we say the autism and gut biome series that someone has suggested to me to do. So hopefully if you enjoyed these, let me know in the comment section if you did and you've learned something of what I've shared with you all. So I'm also saying this also, guys, basically this one's going to be about the debunking the myth about the leaky gut syndrome. You know, I covered basically the top 10 foods that you can take when basically you've got this condition or what have you, as well as also what it is and what it's commonly named in the very first introductory part of it. And saying this also, just as a heads up before I continue, also as always, I'm no medical doctor, I'm just your normal Joe blog. So if you see anything out of the ordinary, do seek professional help for yourself or a loved one, because I don't condone self-harm. So now let's begin this. As we know, basically with most conditions that we would like to debunk the myths and misconceptions regardless of what it is, so that we can gain a better understanding, because obviously there has been some myths and misconceptions and what have you, and then this creates a bit of chaos for us all, of misunderstandings and confusion about it all. So that's why I'm here for most of the time, to try and debunk as much as I can of the myths and misconceptions based on general health versus your mental health or what have you, to your request. So a proposed gastrointestinal disorder, however, has been dubbed as leaky gut syndrome, as I have clearly mentioned so many times before with this clinical term. There has been, obviously at this point of time, currently the topic of numerous debates through this out the medical and natural health communities based on this. However, some alternative medical practitioners claim that the leaky gut syndrome is a prevalent problem responsible for most ill health in many people, for example autistics, people that's got irritable bowel syndrome, and so on and so forth. But however, most physicians maintain that there's not enough research, however, to prove that this is a legitimate reason, however, or issue. So in this video, as I'm saying, I will try to my utmost best to answer some of the questions you may have about the leaky gut syndrome and reveal some of the dangers in diagnosing and treating a condition for which there's no medical evidence whatsoever. In some individuals, for a variety of reasons, however, the physical structure of the intestines is compromised. The tight junctions which control what materials the intestine absorbs don't work properly, allowing larger substances but still very small to cross over into the bloodstream. This is known as intestinal permeability. Physicians, however, sometimes find increased intestinal permeability in those who have Crohn's disease, celiac disease, in individuals that's receiving chemotherapy, and those who have high intake of bowel damaging substances such as aspirin and alcohol. However, intestinal permeability, however, is a symptom of these ailments that you may have heard about, which is not a cause. It does not lead more than the inflammation of the bowel walls, and it's not leaky gut syndrome. Furthermore, research has shown that increased intestinal permeability sometimes has beneficial effects, such as improving water and nutrient absorption, as well as activating the immune system. The myth here is basically, I want to share with you all, according to the proponents of the leaky gut syndrome, bacteria and toxins enter the bloodstream through these defective tight junctions and wreak havoc throughout the body, causing bloating, gas, cramps, inflammatory bowel disease, as well as fatigue, food sensitivities, joint pain, moodiness, irritability, sleepiness, autism, and skin problems like eczema and psoriasis. But the truth of it all, to debunk this is all based on speculation, however, as scientific studies have shown that they do not validate any of these claims whatsoever. It's extremely dangerous that a TV doctor personality and some otherwise trusted practitioners, however, are diagnosing and treating this baseless syndrome. Now the next subtopic. The myth here is many solutions that leaky gut syndrome proponents recommend are based in fad diets, which declare that normal food causes serious problems in most people. For instance, proponents of leaky gut syndrome recommend that patients avoid any foods with high sugar content, including both processed sugary foods and fresh fruits, claiming that the excess sugar causes an overgrowth of a certain strain of yeast in the gastrointestinal tract that's responsible for the damage to the intestinal wall. In addition to this, they say that unverifiable sensitivities to gluten or lactose damage to the intestine, and they recommend avoid all dairy products and anything containing gluten. The myth debunked here is fruit will not cause yeast to attack your immune system, or shall we say in this case intestines I should say, which is while a small percentage of the population have symptoms related to gluten and lactose intakes. These foods cause no problems for most of the everyday individuals. Following the practitioner's instructions, however, is more likely to lead to nutritional deficiencies rather than reduced like symptoms that we come across. Another issue in this field, however, is that many people in the popular media who support this unverified condition try to sell special products as a treatment plan for the leaky gut syndrome. They offer unproven treatments for a condition that has no medical basis. Additionally, since many of these supplements haven't been well researched, taking them could cost a lot of money in the long run, do little to reduce the symptoms, and could even be more dangerous than good. Some patients who try to these methods claim to feel better of them very quickly. However, an individual might report reduced symptoms due to the placebo effect or because of the genuine health benefits indirectly related to the treatment. Example here to illustrate is when you eliminate the mentioned whole food groups, you will most likely also be avoiding many related processed foods such as, example, ice cream, pastries and the like, as well as the additives that they may contain, while increasing the amount of whole foods such as veggies and rice that you may consume, which tends to make most people feel better anyway. However, this reduction of symptoms could be temporary and could only postpone diagnosis of the real cause of symptoms, possibly leading to more complications later down the line in your health. Unless you have celiac disease, a food allergy or intolerance or another ailment that requires drastic dietary changes based on verified research, however, you shouldn't trust any practitioners to tell you to remove several food groups from your diet, especially healthy foods such as fruits and grains. Another red flag is when someone suggests that the only way to solve your situation is to consume untested and heavily marketed supplements, even if they claim to have a herbal or natural base. First and foremost, I suggest here, talk to a registered dietitian if you have any more questions about what you should be eating, because they should be able to tell you what's best for you and what's suited for this and many other kind of food insensitivities, such as what I'm just saying, celiac disease is a classic example. There is a test available that shows whether an individual has intestinal permeability. It works by measuring levels of two indigestible sugars, mannitol and lactulose, in the urine. Most physicians or doctors do not use this test, and research has shown that it's not very reliable. As we mentioned earlier, or myself earlier, basically, there's no evidence that intestinal permeability causes any disease, but be wary of anyone who claims that it does. Some unscrupulous individuals are even selling these tests to consumers online. Using this test to diagnose leaky gut syndrome would be like ordering a test for blood in the stool of someone with intestinal bowel disease, irritable bowel disease, and using a positive test result to prove that the bloody stools caused by some other mysterious disease that can in turn be caused of the IBD or irritable bowel disorder. As we know, basically, we already know that bloody stools are a symptom of Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. Just as we know that intestinal permeability is a symptom of some diseases such as Crohn's disease and celiac disease. Proponents of leaky gut syndrome might also misuse tests that look for bacterial, fungal or viral infections, or tests that measures immune function to diagnose the disorder when there's no evidence that the results in any way related to the basis of the syndrome. So the bottom line here, I want to end on this note, is whatever you hear in the media, the fact remains that there's no quality research to support the existence of leaky gut syndrome. Hence the situation becomes especially more dangerous when you consider that the symptoms associated with this disorder are present in a number of other illnesses that I've clearly mentioned. So a quick diagnosis of leaky gut is more likely to leave patients untreated for what really ails them. Many people are good to believe that the leaky gut syndrome is a valid illness because it seems like an answer to many of their health problems. When you really think about it, one diagnosis explains arthritis, IBD, skin problems, fatigue, and some more seems fictional. Even more unrealistic is that all of these symptoms will go away if the patient just take a few supplements here and there and avoid certain nutritious foods. It's important to use critical thinking when faced with a potential diagnosis that isn't backed by scientific research, or evidence in this case. You may have to wonder why there's no reliable studies that show evidence of leaky gut syndrome, especially since it supposedly affects so many individuals. Why people are so quick to diagnose an unstudied disorder, and why the only way to treat this disease is by taking expensive supplements or modifying your diet to remove multiple food groups. Many practitioners who diagnose patients with leaky gut syndrome claim that a lack of adequate studies doesn't mean it doesn't exist, however. While this could be possible, diagnosing and treating a disease that we don't have much evidence on can be dangerous, which is why the medical community uses such rigorous testing to scientifically support any new diagnoses, medications or treatment plans before recommending them to the public or to their patients, however. If you have any more questions about leaky gut syndrome or intestinal permeability, again, I suggest to you to talk to a medical doctor or gastrointestinalologist. Although a practitioner with lesser education might be able to recommend natural products to assist with your physician-prescribed treatment regimen, it's paramount to leave the diagnosing process to the physicians who have training in medicine that's supported by the best scientific research and clinical experience beforehand. So this quickly ends the short video of the debunking the myths about leaky gut syndrome. Hopefully you like this, smash the like if you did. Comment below if you've got this kind of condition if I mentioned, or if I missed out any of the myths and misconceptions that you may have heard about of the leaky gut syndrome. I would love to hear it, I'm sure.
Also, in saying this, don't forget that I have got a merch store that I'm trying to hopefully add a bit more style designs in the next 2 months or so to hopefully help with extra funding, along with the crowdfunding page of basically the Patreon account. For those of you who are new today, Patreon is like a subsidy account for us creators, be it music creators, content creators that are doing mental health or water form. It is that they're using as a form of the platform on YouTube, Twitch, or wherever else they may likely to fly about. Basically, it's a bit about giving back to you guys when you do support. So if you feel to donate to me, big or small, no pressure, basically, but it'd be much appreciated if you did. But hey, this will cover my cost of my rent, the travel when I do some more traveling with Aspie series, or just traveling in general if I decide in the near future to meet you guys, versus also basically hopefully my aim for this year, or end of this year, fingers crossed, is to get that camera I've been wanting, that's on my watch list, so to speak, as well as maybe better recording equipment, so to speak, with the camera setup and whatnot, so that I'm not solely relying on my phone and many other parts of the thing. And in saying this, with the Patreon account, basically you'll see that I've been trying to do some benefits and tires for you to give back to you as I thank you for, you know, joining with me, even though some of it will be maybe for free, some of it, you know, maybe need out of my pocket to send you guys certain stuff back, if it may be, if you do donate to a certain amount, merch of your choice, versus basically maybe if I can afford to print out a copy of my book that I did 3 years ago, if you're interested in reading my life story more there. And then saying this also, just to let you guys know down that I've got some projects in the works that I'm still hoping that if anyone wants to participate for project number 1 of the Journey Through the Mind series, that you may have seen Lydia, who was the first participant from Life with Lydia, basically sharing her life story. So I'm hoping to do short bullets of documentary style stories basically based on this. And in saying this, basically, if you want to be on the bandwagon in any way for that, feel free to comment below. As well as saying this, the second project of it was supposed to be an icebreaker for you guys, just to answer a series of questions. And if you do decide to come back for the second part of that Journey Through the Mind series to be a more depth storyline, please feel free, because I'm hoping later today, if all goes to plan, and I'm hoping to maybe get someone on the side to maybe animate them or what have you. And I'm saying this also, if you've seen some of my other videos, be it through my, you know, poetry, my baking with Aspie and everything else, please let me know what you would see more of, because at this point of time it's all about giving back to you guys regardless, but I know I should be focusing solely on mental health and awareness and acceptance and inclusion as an advocate, but I would like to try and bring in some mixture of things so I don't, you know, bore you guys, so that you can just, instead of getting to know me, maybe getting to know others that were interested in coming into play. And then there's also just a heads up, basically I was hoping in the works later today to do a second part of my book that I did based on my life of an Aspie, looking through the life of Asperger's syndrome or something along those. I'll link the link in the description below based on that as well, so that if any one of you that are maybe autistic and are from the autistic community groups and you're interested in participating, let me know, so that maybe we can get the ball rolling and get the short stories done and up as well as a third part of my book series, because I'm still thinking that there are certain topics I may have not touched base on from the first part of my book of the Journey Through Life with Asperger's Syndrome of mine. And to wrap it up, basically I have some other funding pages, like basically GoFunding or some other funding page that I've got, that if you're interested in maybe doing it through there instead of through basically Patreon. But as you know, Patreon and this other one, you have the option of PayPal and just insert bank account details and whatnot. And then saying this also, I'm trying to keep my blog up to date so I can create it as a website hopefully as of before next year, because that's my main goal. I'm still looking for someone who is willing to actually maybe help me design it from WordPress to actually put this web address in and stuff and tidy it up, so that we can actually put other bits and pieces in that you may want to see on there, so to speak, if you've seen it, sort of thing. You know, hopefully you're enjoying some of the read-ups of what I write, even though it's similar to what I share with you guys of certain videos I may have put out, sort of thing. So it's easier for you guys when you come onto my WordPress site, that if you're a visual person instead of like a reader person, some of it is similar, but it should hopefully have some bits and pieces. And also in saying this, I'm at this point of time been away for a few times too because of the subtitling I'm doing. But hopefully you enjoyed this video, and do what you love what you do. Until next time, I'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.